is extremely important for our exhibition. Angela Davis studied from 1965 to 67 in Frankfurt in West Germany and gets to know the German student movement scene, German student activists, returns to the United States and gets involved in the Black Power movement, and I don't need to tell that story. But what's interesting is, of course, there are a lot of solidarity demonstrations in West Germany, but East Germany begins in 1970 to start a massive solidarity campaign, 1 million roses for Angela Davis, in which East Germany asked school children, workers, to write solidarity postcards to Angela Davis while she's in prison, and she gets these bags of mail delivered to her in prison, and is becoming a communist pop star in East Germany. Time magazine at the time talks about an Angela mania in East Germany, and to this very day, you know, it is she is remembered in popular consciousness as a fixture of the other America, the America of the oppressed. And this is the story that we're tracing in our exhibition from the very beginning, from World War I up until the mid-70s, the Angela Davis Solidarity Campaign, and also the GI movement. But let me end with a personal note. I mean, as you can tell, I'm far too young to remember any of this. In '77, I grew up in the northern part of the country, so I didn't experience, you know, American occupation and American soldiers to the extent that other people did. But one of the reasons I got involved in this project is meeting African American GIs who served during World War II and encountering their stories, listening to them, and seeing and feeling the bitterness that they feel that they have been systematically written out of history. Yeah, and that their story is not part of the greatest generation, and particularly one person comes to mind whom we met early on in our studies, and that is Leon Batts. And Leon Batts, and I'm going to end with this, was born in Philadelphia. His dad had already served in World War I in France, and he joins the US Army in 1942 as a volunteer. And he experiences basic training in the South, encounters racism, institutionalized racism for the very first time in his life, and then shift over to England and to Germany. And Leon Batts is such a fascinating person because he's one of the liberators of the Nazi concentration camp of Buchenwald. And he never talks about his experience up until the 1970s, when he has become a teacher, principal in a Philadelphia high school, and a Holocaust survivor comes to his class. And he tells the students that he was there, he experienced it, and then he begins talking about his experience of Holocaust and the legacy of the Holocaust and what he saw at Buchenwald, and how that drove him to join the civil rights movement later on. And the interesting part about Leon is that he, at the beginning of the 80s, meets one of the people that he liberated in Buchenwald, a rabbi, who sees him on television, and ever since then they've been going on joint lecture tours. Yeah? And that is sort of what drove us to put this together, to write a book on this, to continuously gather oral history interviews, and this is why we dedicated not only this exhibition but also the book to the liberators of Nazi Germany, African American soldiers who have been, in our opinion, not acknowledged appropriately, and this is why we are thankful, both of them as Germans, for their contribution to the war. And thank you all for